Today we are going to learn about traces of modern Indian history. So in 1600, the English East India Company acquired a character of trade with India. After that, in 1757, after nearly 1 year and 157 years, a Battle of Plassey was fought. After that, in 1857, after 100 years, the Great Uprising of 1857 happened. After that, in 1885, the Indian National Congress was founded, and in 1947, India got its independence. So today in this topic we are going to talk about 1600 CE, that is when English East India Company came and acquired character to trade with India. In this topic we will learn really basic about modern period. In next chapter we will be going beyond this. So, the modern period of Indian history is primarily marked by the arrival of East India Company. When the East India Company came to India, that time this period was marked. Modern period was marked that time. Then the collapse of several medieval kingdoms and the European trading companies like Portuguese, British, and French. So they came at that time and they opened another chapter for Indian history. But it was the East India Company which outdid others and established their foots on the Indian soil. But from this all the trading companies who came to the India, Dutch, again Portuguese, British, French, Danish. So from this all trading companies, only English East India Company it established their foots on Indian soil. All these trading companies came to India, but they were not able to conquer India, or they were not able to stay in India for many years, we can say. After that, periodization and colonization. As we have learned earlier as well, what is periodization? So that means when we categorize this Indian history into three periods, namely ancient, medieval, and modern period. And from this medieval period is divided again into two types. Ancient, so that was divided into two types, like ancient one and then modern one, medieval. Okay. So in this last year we studied about medieval period of India, but this year we will learn about modern period. There was a Scottish historian, James Mill, in his book A History of British India. So in his book History of British India, he divided the Indian history into three periods, that were Hindu, Muslim, and British. Because in the ancient, as we know, because in the periodization, the ancient one, mostly Hindu rulers are there, and in medieval there are Muslims, and in modern we are learning, so there are British ones. So it was, this view was widely accepted by the peoples because of this peoples and the rulers. But what happened when the historians came, they later criticized, or we can say characterized, this periodization, Mill's periodization, and referred the periods as ancient, medieval, and modern period. So many historians refer to the modern period as a colonial period. Why they referred as a colonial period? Because India then became a colony of British. That time India became colony of British. The process in which one country acquires control over another leading country to various kinds of political, economic, and social, cultural changes in former is called colonization. So it's a process in which one country acquires control over another country. It controls another country, so that country is not independent one. So they may be controlling various kinds. So that may be in political fields, economic, social, cultural, or so that's called as colonization. And the country which is controlled, okay, that's called as imperialist country. So subjugated country is a colony, whereas a country that rules is called imperialist country. So actually the subjugated country means the country which is controlled by another country, so that is subjugated, and the country which is ruling, so that is called imperialist country. Okay. Now industrial revolution. See, industrial revolution that occurred in England. So it was a revolution, it was a change which occurred in England during 18th century. So this change led into considerable growth in industrial production. Industrial production had a growth in that time, and many European countries like England started looking out for territories. The European countries like England, what it did, started looking out for the territories or market for their finished product. That would also supply resources for the domestic industries. So there were several European nations. So these several European nations colonized with non-European countries, and India became colony of England. What happened then? European nations were there. So that European nations, they colonized, means what they did, they ruled over non-European countries. European nations ruled over non-European countries, and that's how the India became colony of England. So what it is told then, European nations were there, no, what they were doing, they were controlling over the non-European countries, okay, like India, and India also then was one of a target for that European countries, England. Okay, now let's see sources which we have to study for modern history of India. So actually there are ample sources, various sources are there which are available to reconstruct the history of modern period. So these sources includes official records, autobiographies, newspapers, photographs, etc. First is administrative records. So see, the most important source of information comprises administrative records, that is official documents. So important source of informations we have. So from that, one is administrative record. What does administrative record means? So that means official documents which are official. Okay, the British officials not only believed in keeping the records of every official proceeding, but also they carefully preserved this. Now nowadays what we do, even if we write about the today's world and the proceedings, what we do, we don't keep it or we don't preserve it. But these British officials, they not only keep this records or write these proceedings, but they preserved it, they carefully kept it, and today these are useful for us only because we are understanding how was our history, and it's really very important to understand the history. So they set up the record rooms, specialized institutions like archives and museums. So what they did, they had a specialized rooms and institutions were there, like archives are there, museums are there. So these were all made to preserve the records, and most of these materials are available in National Archives of India at New Delhi and India Office Record in London. Okay, so where this official documents are mostly located, so they are National Archives of India. Now when it is telling India, so that time we have to understand it's in India only. So that was means like national it is used, no. So National Archives of India, national, so that will be in India only, that is in New Delhi. And the India Office Record, so office record it was, no, that's why it's in London. Now the India Office Record, which was in London, that was administered by British Library, and over 300 collection and over 3000 smaller deposits of private papers are significant source of British experience in India. See, diaries, autobiographies and travel issues. Although the vast corpus of official records help us to derive much information about the modern period, it tells us only about official views, interests and wishes of British. But if we look beyond this, there are diaries of peoples, accounts of pilgrims and travelers, autobiographies and biographies of important personalities, and national leaders are also important to study the modern period. The autobiography of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Towards the Freedom, Waiting for Visa, written by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography, The Story of My Experiments with Truth, reveal the facts which are unknown to common people. While referring to such sources, historians have to be questioned enough, as these are primarily based on the personal experiences and may not provide holistic view. So the official record help us to derive much information It also tells us about official views, how the peoples were, how what was the interest and what were the wishes of British, what they wanted. But if we look beyond this diaries, official records, okay, there were autobiographies were there, biographies were there. Now autobiographies were written by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru towards the freedom. There is autobiography of Jawaharlal, there is autobiography of this Mahatma Gandhi also, that is the story of my experiments with truth. Okay, so that is also written, and there is one autobiography of APJ Abdul Kalam, Wings of Fire. It is a excellent autobiography of him. Its book is their name as Wings of Fire. You should read it, it's excellent. Then Story of My Experiments with Truth, which is written by Mahatma Gandhi. As we know, he was a really non-violence, he was following the path of non-violence and truth. So experiments with their of his truth, that also it's good. And while referring to the sources, historians have to be questioned. Why they have to be? Because they are providing, is it means information should be really true, it should not be misguided. Okay, that's why they have to be questioned for that time. Then newspapers, books, magazines, letters and pamphlets we will see. Okay, let me open that page. See, okay, it's little blurred, but see, newspapers, books, magazines, letters and pamphlets. The introduction of printing press gave impetus to production of books and newspapers. The ideas and the thoughts of eminent personalities were documented. Several newspapers, magazines, pamphlets were printed in regional language. So there was a printing press. Where it was introduced, printing press, it was introduced in the modern period. And that time what happened, introduction to the books also it gave, newspapers also gave. Today the books we are reading, so of many person means the books we are reading at our house, so that are means that happened because of printing press only, no? So these ideas, thoughts of eminent personalities, so they were documented by printing press. And several newspapers, magazines, pamphlets were printed in regional language to spread their ideas. So the newspaper, it played a vital role in national awakening. Because today also about the information about the world, we get it due to the newspaper only, because the surrounding informations are documented, printed on the newspaper. So these were very useful to study the freedom struggle. Bal Gangadhar Tilak's newspaper Kesari in Marathi played a great role in molding the public opinion during the freedom struggle. So there was the first newspaper which was documented or printed by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, which was named as Kesari. It was in Marathi, which played a great role during the freedom struggle, as it told the peoples about their how to live, and in that situation it motivated the people from the how to free themselves from the clutches of the Britishers. The books were there like Poverty and Un-British Rule in India, which was written by Dadabhai Naroji, are important in order to understand the economic history of this period. So the books throws the light on the deep insight on the several topics. There were personal correspondent, official records, okay, official records were there, and the British officials, what happened actually, the letters were there of national leaders. So they were of great historical personalities and of the British officials. It provided a window to peep into the past. So, see, Bengal Gazette was the first newspaper in India. I told you the first newspaper was of the Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Okay, it was in Marathi actually. That was the first one of Marathi, and the Bengal Gazette, it was of the Calcutta. It was in Calcutta, as Bengal, it was in Calcutta. So it was published in 1780, and as we know, the modern period started in 1600. So after 180 years it was published, or we can say it was printed. There was a letter written by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru to his daughter Indira Gandhi. So it was a letter which told about the situation of that time, okay, of that British's time. Have you read that I have read that letter, which was written by Jawaharlal Nehru to his daughter Indira Gandhi. It was all about the situations which were going on that time. At that time, now see, historical monuments we will study, historical buildings, photographs and paintings. So historical monuments such as Gateway of India, Rashtrapati Bhavan, India Gate, etc. It speaks about the architectural style prevalent during the period. They furnish knowledge about the political development of the region. From this historical monument, what we get that how much development happened in modern period from the medieval period and the Asian period, how the architecture style got improved and how this style get prevalent during that period. So as you can see in the picture, India Gate is there and names of Martyrs. You can see this India Gate. So on that India Gate, what happened? See, World War One. What happened? India Gate beared the names of the soldiers who died in World War One with Afghan rulers. So it is at Rajpath at New Delhi. This is built. It took nearly 10 years to build that beautiful monument. If you wanted to see it, uh, it is at New Delhi. You can go. It was built to commemorate the soldiers who have sacrificed their life. Their names were written on the wall. Now the Gateway of India was built by British to commemorate the visit of King George V and Queen Mary to Mumbai in December 1911. Now see, photographs we'll see. A photograph, it is a visually recorded source that conveys the many historical facts and realities. The picture of Gateway of India is photographic representation. From this photographs we can understand how the buildings and this all is there. It is located in Mumbai, but can be viewed by anyone who is living in distant place, as it provides exact image of the present day state monument. While referring to photograph as a source of reconstructing history, one has to be critical approach to check whether it is morphed or not. It would provide the authentic information. See, in the photograph we can get the information about that particular place, but we don't know it's true or not. It can be there, no? That is one question, because in today's world there is a much more process of editing only. If you can see Taj Mahal, it's now it is turning into like something yellowish color, okay? So but if you can see in your mobile phone, if you click the picture, what you will do, you will increase the filter, you will add some like filter over there, okay, brightness you will increase. So because of that the picture can be changed. So we have to check it is morphed or not, and like if we see it from our eyes, so that would be a good thing. But photograph are also useful for that, but there are some disadvantages of it, advantages also. Now see, paintings are very valuable source of the information for study of modern period, because paintings received great encouragement during the period. Western methods and techniques were introduced into Indian arts. Paintings throw light on various aspects of the modern period. Paintings can be used as a source to corroborate the evidences gleaned from other sources. Okay, so the paintings were very useful because we can understand how the art and culture was of that period. See, surveys and mappings. The British believed that for the purpose of better administration of country, it is very important to know the country properly. Now to administrate the whole country, to control whole the country and run that country, it's important to know the country properly. Now if I am the IS officer of this city, what I will do, I had to know the city properly before controlling it and running it. So efforts were made to know the necessary facts such as topography, quality of soil, flora, fauna, cropping patterns, etc. Thus they carried out surveys and prepared maps. What they did? Surveys they carried out. Means how many people are living in that particular area and all that. And maps means where, which location, which place is there. Revenue surveys were conducted in villages. Means revenue, how many peoples are there in that field. In villages it was, okay. Surveys of India is the oldest significant department of the government of India, set up in 1767. Mr. William Labron and Sir George Everest completed the work of gathering data of Indian terrain. Mount Everest, we know its highest peak, Okay, so it was discovered by the Survey of the India in 1865. It was named after Sir George Everest, the British Surveyor General. From the end of 19th century, the census held 10 years, enabled the administration. See, Survey of India means like it is told that Survey of India. It was told that highest peak means it was like, I think survey means it was something that will tell the height of that mountain. So survey of that India was that one, and census was held after, means how many people are living. Census is that meaning, I think. And because of that we can understand how many people are living today. Also it's conducted after 10 years, I think, or 20, I don't know. In 1830, Henry Walter conducted the first complete census of an Indian city in Dhaka. This collection of population statistics have often been used to draw various policies for nations. Now, oral sources and films we will see. Before the invention of writing, information was transmitted by word of mouth through the successive generation, which falls in the category of oral sources. What is oral sources? Now, orally I am speaking, orally I am explaining. So that's oral source. And the recordings, interviews of the peoples, this all are the oral sources only. Okay. The credibility of such sources has often been questioned, but when there is paucity of sources, these are very useful. Apart from traditional historical sources, films are of the great source to study the history of modern period. There are several films which are based on the true events and the important issues which unfolding the many historical facts. Now, even though the films are primarily based on for the entertainment purpose, they gave some insight for the period of study. There are films like Lagan, Khelenge Hum Ji Jaan Se. So this throw the light on the Indian subjects, and there are some films which throw the historical events and the peoples like Gandhi, Shahid Bhagat Singh, etc. They are made on historical personalities, are on immense help not only to understand their personal lives but also to study their contribution in struggle of independence. So I think you understood this topic. Let me ask you three last questions. Dash was the first newspaper in India. So answer is Bengal Gazette. Then Dash divided Indian history into three periods, namely ancient, medieval, and modern. Okay, so the answer is historians. And the third last question over here is when the Henry Walter conducted the first complete census of Indian city in Dhaka. So that's 1830. Okay, so thank you everybody. Have a nice day.